What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to TTP Sports. And before we get into this big Flyers victory in overtime over the Calgary Flames, the most important thing you can do is hit that sub button. I will greatly appreciate that. So if you are brand new to the channel, looking for all the latest Philadelphia sports recaps, news, and events, it's definitely a great time or a miserable time depending on what the hell happens in Philadelphia sports. So I definitely recommend joining the family. And if you are a current subscriber, longtime subscriber, I am very grateful for you being here for that long, but I also think you're crazy as well, but still, very grateful. Also, let's try to get this out there, grow this channel, get it over the 400 sub count, and continue to move on from there. So getting into the business tonight, like I said, huge win for the boys, huge win for the Flyers as they win 2-1 in overtime over the Calgary Flames. And just a big night going into it in general. You got Rick Tocchet and Paul Holmgren getting inducted into the Flyers Hall of Fame. You had the alumni game yesterday, and you have this induction ceremony tonight into the Flyers Hall of Fame for those two Flyers legends. Rick Tocchet basically spent most of his tenure with the Flyers as a player, one of the greater players in the organizational history. Also, I think he leads the team in franchise history in penalty minutes. So, yeah, Rick Tocchet was a great Flyer, especially during those 80s teams when they went to the finals against Edmonton those two times. So, definitely well-deserved there. And Paul Holmgren, just for what he has done for this Flyers organization over his basically entire career as a player, as an assistant coach, as a head coach, as a GM, as a president. He basically has done it all. At the end of this point, the only thing he hasn't done is own the team, and that's probably never going to happen, but still. Paul Holmgren, definitely a well-deserved slot into that Flyers Hall of Fame. But also, little criticism about that is, I guess it's on both standpoints, on the fans and on the team, for just poorly scheduling this. I don't know why they decided to do this thing at 6:30, because I can understand fans not being there at the 6:30 time just because, okay, it's a Tuesday, it's still a work night. People are just getting out of work around 6:30. They get over to the game, drive to the parking lot, and get into the Wells Fargo Center mostly between 6:30 and 7 o'clock. So usually when the Flyers do this stuff, the ceremonies are usually by 7 o'clock. And then you have the warm-ups that are right after it. Then you would have the game that would start at 7:45 or 8 p.m. I'm not sure why they decided to do it early, because there were a lot of patches in the seats, and it was really empty for that ceremony, which is honestly embarrassing in itself. But also then you can say, okay, the Flyers were telling people that this ceremony was at 6:30 p.m., so try to get into the building by 6 so you could be in your seats at least by 6:30. So they were telling people about that, but also at the same time, it probably wasn't promoted as well to tell people that it was at 6:30. So, I think it's on both parties. I think some people took it way out of control on Twitter, some of the Flyers beat reporters, so I don't think it's that deep, but still, I think it just needs to be timed better. It was just a poorly timed thing, in my honest opinion. I don't think it's that deep. I don't think it's it has something to do with the disconnection between the fan base and the organization. I don't think it has anything to do with that. It was just poorly timed. It shouldn't be at 6:30. Probably should have been at 7 o'clock, so you can ensure people are there. So I don't think it's that deep. Some people, I think, took it way too far. So that's my whole take on that entire thing. But getting into this game, first period, not the best for the Flyers. I think Calgary controlled the entire pace, especially at 5-on-5 throughout the entire thing. Flyers had 3 power plays during this period, and one of them was a 5-on-3 where they really couldn't generate anything. They were getting chances, I'll be that, but the only one that was really dangerous was a great save by Markstrom on Sean Couturier down low in the crease. I have no idea how he managed to stop this puck. And if he doesn't get his leg onto the post in time, that puck is basically going in. It looked like he stopped it with his foot. So he robbed Couturier on that chance. But basically this entire period was 5-on-5 was controlled by Calgary, but it was also a very undisciplined period, mainly on the side for Calgary because they did take those 3 penalties, especially Matthew Tkachuk. He was all over the penalty everything today. He was just I don't know, something was just there was a weird edge to him tonight that he was, I guess, because I know that's his style of play. He's a power forward, he's a physical guy, he tries to get under the skin of people, but it also did kind of feel like he was the Flyers were kind of getting under his skin as well, because he took a lot of penalties in this game. I think he had at least 2 or 3 penalties total in this game, because the second period there were a lot of penalties as well. Yeah, Matthew Tkachuk, he got a penalty in the first period, and then he gets a penalty in the second period, 2 penalties in the second period actually, so he had 3 penalties in total tonight. So not the best night for Matthew Tkachuk, but still, first period looked just way in control of Calgary, and they end up getting on the board first halfway through this first period. They managed to hem the Flyers in their own zone, hem that first line in there, and you got Shillington throwing the puck from the point, deflects in off of Sean Couturier's leg and into the net behind Carter Hart, and it's a 1-0 Calgary lead. And Sean Couturier, just this night in general, like, I'm not blaming him on the goal. It was just an unfortunate bounce that went off his leg, so really can't control anything right there. But basically, after that chance that he got on the power play where Markstrom robbed him, it basically felt like it was going downhill from there. He just had this weird night where he was making just bad decisions, bad passes. He was losing puck battles. He was turning the puck over in weird spots, but he also did make the really great play in the overtime to get the Cam Atkinson goal. But still, it was a weird night, for like a really off night for Sean Couturier, just making a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes, especially on the 5-on-3 when they were trying to bring it back into the zone after Calgary cleared it. He just tried to make this weird pass. It didn't go anywhere. It turned the puck right over, went the other way. Calgary was able to kill off that 5-on-3, and it just, I don't know, just a very uncharacteristic night from Sean Couturier. And it's felt like he's had a couple of those this year for some reason. I'm not sure what the reason is for that. But yeah, he definitely needs to be better. And still, yeah, this entire team still needs to be better. I think this is one of their better games in the past few nights. Like that, they didn't play that good in Dallas. I thought they had a good third period in Carolina. Even though they didn't necessarily play bad, I think this has been their better performance in the past so many games, where I think they got better as the game went along, and I think they were the better team halfway through the second period and getting in basically the entire third period. I thought the Flyers were the much better team throughout the entire game. And even for standpoints on Calgary, like guys like Johnny Gaudreau, he was all over the ice tonight. I think he had recorded 10+ shots on net in this game. He was just all over the night for Calgary, and I actually want to see his stats for this game if the NHL app lets me see that, if I can get the box score for the player. So here we go. If I can find Calgary, if I can find total shots on net. So if I go down to Johnny Gaudreau had 10 shots in this game. So he was flat out everywhere, flying all over the ice, making these neat dangles, nifty passes, just going through people and getting to the net. He was just all over the place tonight. He was absolutely fantastic for Calgary. But hey, Carter Hart was also fantastic in this game for the Flyers. Just another fantastic game for him, stopping 33 pucks out of 34 shots. Just a very fantastic, another all-around solid night for Carter Hart. Basically kept the Flyers in this game, especially in that first period when Calgary probably could have been up at least maybe 2-3-0. So Carter Hart is definitely a lot of thanks in this game. And even too, when the Flyers tied this game as well, he made some big saves on Johnny Gaudreau. Johnny Gaudreau was coming up the ice. I think this was somewhere after the Flyers tied it. And actually, let me get into that Flyers goal. So you go down 1-0 into the first intermission. You come into the second period. It looked like a lot better pace as well. You were getting chances. You were getting some odd man rushes. Okay, maybe you could find a crack one by Markstrom. And eventually the Flyers do. Under 5 minutes into this period, Ristolainen, honestly, another fantastic game for Rasmus Ristolainen. He looks like he's getting better and better every single game. Every game that passes, he seems to be improving, and he's becoming one of the better Flyers defensive consistently every night, which is really good to see after his very slow start. And the same thing for Travis Sanheim. Both of those guys look like they're developing some type of chemistry, and they're developing confidence together, and Rasmus Ristolainen looks like he's making Travis Sanheim better and vice versa. So it's nice to see those two guys have some chemistry. So this play, kept in by Rasmus Ristolainen, he was basically the entire reason for this thing to set up. He hands it over to Kevin Hayes, who originally tries to make a cross-crease pass. It gets blocked in the crease, which allows Markstrom to go over the ice because, he thought the puck was going the other way. It comes right back to the stick of Kevin Hayes. He barely gets it into the net by Markstrom, into that open net, and it becomes a 1-1 game. And just great thing for Kevin Hayes. His second game back since coming back from his second abdominal surgery. And after he scored that goal, you see him pointing to the sky, saluting to his brother Jimmy Hayes. Rest in peace to him. Definitely just a huge goal to get off his shoulder. And man, yeah, that's just something big for Kevin Hayes there. But also just a scary situation for him as well. At the end of the second period, he gets into a little bit of a tie-up, and then, he gets up slow. He's down on the ice. He's hobbling to the bench. He goes into the locker room, but thank God. I guess you could say his brother was definitely watching down on him after that, because he did come back into the third period. And Bill Meltzer did say that Kevin Hayes, he felt fine after that going into the intermission. So thankfully, no damage done there. It was a very scary situation, though, because, when you have Ryan Ellis now who's going on the LTIR, he re-injured himself in the Dallas game. So he's on LTIR now. He's seeing other doctors to get, his situation handled, to see if he needs surgery or whatnot, because we still don't know what the hell is wrong with him. Right now, the only thing we're getting is lower body, and maybe some of the rumors that it possibly could be a groin issue. So hopefully that's nothing too serious there. Hopefully he does not need surgery, but this is something for Ryan Ellis that he just needs to sit and let this thing goddamn heal, because I guess maybe he was rushed back into the lineup, and maybe that's why he re-injured it. So if it's a groin, that's definitely a tricky situation. You got to let that thing heal. You can't be going in when it's not fully healed or just not fully 100%. You got to sit until that thing heals, because you can just keep re-aggravating that when you come back without, letting it heal properly. So, still through the second period, a little bit back and forth, but the Flyers felt like they were getting a lot better of the chances. This was a very physical game, especially going into the second period. These teams really showcased they did not like each other. Man, it was just all over the ice tonight. You got scrums after the whistles, after goalies make the stop. You got fighting going along the bench. You got Tkachuk whining to the refs. It's just, jeez. If you look at the penalties taken in this period, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 penalties taken this entire period. And it's weird too, because there was nothing going on in the third period. And it was funny during one of these things. I think it was Justin Braun and Matthew Tkachuk. They both went to the box, and I think Braun got roughing and Tkachuk got something else. I completely forget about which the penalty he got, but it was funny because you see on the Jumbotron, I think it was on the replay or just during whatever was happening, it looked like Braun, because when you could tell from reading his mouth, it looked like Braun called Tkachuk a pussy. Because I don't know why, it just felt like that was really funny when I said it at that point, because Justin Braun calling Matt Tkachuk a pussy. Like, what? Who do you think you are, Justin Braun? Even though you've been playing really well, but still, that was a very funny in the moment thing. But yeah, just a very physical game, a very angry game for both sides. It just whoa. And you got at the end of the period too, you got Blake Coleman and James Van Riemsdyk going after one another. Coleman grabs the face mask. JVR drops his one glove, throws a punch in there. It was just like a weird night. My goodness. And specifically too, because also in this game, you got Patrick Brown back into the lineup. And it just felt like, well, even though he did play on Saturday, I don't know why I'm saying back into the lineup. He had honestly a really underrated first period. I thought the fourth line looked really good tonight once again with Patrick Brown in it. But sadly, Brown does leave this game after the first period with a thumb injury. So hopefully nothing's going to be too much of an issue there going forward. They are going to reevaluate him tomorrow. So I'm not sure what's going to happen if he's going to miss some time here. They're most likely going to have to call someone up from Lehigh Valley if it is going to be maybe a couple of games missed. Because you saw throughout the course of the entire game, you saw JVR double shifting on that fourth line. You saw Scott Lawton double shifting on that fourth line. Claude Giroux double shifting on that fourth line. So they had to make some lineup adjustments, but that fourth line, though, Zach McEwen especially, he was all over the ice tonight, physically. He was getting chances in that second period, getting chances in the third period. He was getting to the net. He was getting into those dirty areas. Man, Zach McEwen, he's looking good. I don't know. I know that analytically, everyone wants to complain about this fourth line, saying that they're in the worst fourth line in the league analytically, but I don't know how people don't look at the eye test. This fourth line is probably one of our better lines on the ice. It's what they're supposed to be. They're a grinder type of line. You got Nate Thompson, who is a defensive forward. That's basically all he is. He knows his job. He knows what he's going to do. He's just a grinder. That's basically it. That's what his career is at this point. Zach McEwen, basically the same thing. He's a tough guy. He's a grinder, fourth liner. Same thing with Patrick Brown. That's what this line does. They get into the forecheck. They're going to make it uncomfortable for the defenders, and they're basically an energy line. That's all it is. So I don't know what people analytically look from that fourth line. It's just weird because it feels like every time something happens, it's always like, oh, blame the fourth line, blame Nate Thompson. It's Nate Thompson's fault. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. But still, Zach McEwen was all over the ice tonight, and I thought he had a really good game. I think that should be the summary of the entire thing. But going into the third period, I think the Flyers controlled the pace a lot much better in that third period. You got Sean Couturier, JVR with a 2-on-1. JVR rings it off the pipe. You got Claude Giroux doing this in between the legs move, driving to Markstrom. Sadly, he wasn't able to open up the 5-hole, but still, Claude Giroux at 33 years old, it's just nasty, pure perfection from that move from Claude Giroux. Sadly, he just wasn't able to bury it. Still, Carter Hart, even in this third period too, when Calgary got some zone possession, because it wasn't all Flyers. Calgary did definitely have their chances too, but I felt like it was more controlled into the pace of the Flyers. I thought they had a much better period, but Carter Hart in net, there was one play, I forget who it was from Calgary that took the shot, but they took it from the point. It looked like it deflected off of a Flyer or a Calgary player in front, and Carter Hart, with a nice reaction, had to make the toe save, just reacting to that deflection, goes off his foot, goes into the other corner. That was a huge save right there, because honestly, if you missed that, that's probably going into the net. So Carter Hart definitely came up huge in this game as well. So you go into the overtime, there were definitely a lot of missed chances as well, especially at the end of the game. The Flyers had their chances, they just couldn't bury them. But you go into that overtime, it doesn't last that long, it lasts under a minute. Calgary wins the initial faceoff. They try to push it up the ice. They're turning the puck over. Ivan Provorov forces it, pushes the puck up. Sean Couturier, Cam Atkinson going in there on the 2-on-1. Couturier throws it on net, goes off of Markstrom's pad, rebound goes right to Cam Atkinson. He buries it into the empty net, and the Flyers win. They get the extra point in this game, winning it by a score of 2-1. Your 3 stars of the game: Kevin Hayes, first star; Carter Hart, second star; and Johnny Gaudreau, third star for the Calgary Flames. Shots on goal in this game, 43-34 in favor of the Flyers. Flyers bounce back in the faceoff circle tonight. They win it by 58%. Both teams, they go scoreless on all of their power plays. Flyers go 0-for-6, so that power play is still abysmal right now. And Calgary, they went over 2, so the Flyers killed off both of the penalties they allowed in this game. Shot differential in each period, 12-11 in the first in favor of Calgary, 17-16 in the second in favor of Calgary, and 14-5 in favor of the Flyers in the third period, and the Flyers got both shots in the overtime. So, huge win for the boys, and definitely something huge to start this homestand with, because this is a very tough homestand. You got a big win against a very tough opponent coming into this game. So you got 2 more games on this homestand: Tampa Bay on Thursday, Boston on Saturday, before you go back on the road next week. So try to get some more points on this homestand. Tampa Bay, tough team, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Boston, always a tough team, so just find a way to get those points. And the offense definitely still has to pick it up. This power play still needs to get better. I'm not saying this was the perfect game by all, but it just feels nice to get a win. But there's still definitely stuff to be concerned about, because, you still only scored 2 goals tonight. So the offense definitely needs to find a way to get going. But I do like that they got 43 shots on net. So they're finding ways to get the puck on net. They just need to find a way to finish. They need to find a way to finish, and that's the most important thing. Carter Hart, fantastic once again. So what are your thoughts on this game, everyone? Carter Hart's performance, just his entire game in general, the Hall of Fame induction, so everything, all your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. I would like to hear them as always. Do not forget to drop a like on this video. Do not forget to check out the Painted Lines, which I'm a part of. Their links are down in the description below. Also, don't forget to check out the links to BrodesMedia, the Flyer.pod merch website, and also Flyers Nitty Gritty. All that good stuff is down in the description below. Do not forget to check those out. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the most important thing you can do is hit that sub button. I'll greatly appreciate that. And I will see you next time.